they been cramping my style all week. Craving chocolate treats, checking pants, checking seeds, sipping herbal tea and fight for menstrual equity. Jeez, man, I kick cramps ass. 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 You're now tuned in to the Kick Cramps Ass podcast with your host, Brittany Walker, advocating for menstrual equity, period poverty, and womb wellness. New episodes on Menstruation Mondays.
Greetings. Welcome everybody to the Kick Cramps Ass podcast, where I'm your host, Brittany Walker. You made it to season 2, episode 20, where we will be talking about strengthening your emotional wellness for National Wellness Month. All right, guys. So yes, August is National Wellness Month. So we're going to be giving wellness tips all month long in an effort to help you implement a consistent wellness routine regimen that works out for you. All right. And this is just not something to implement for this month, but year round, daily, weekly, monthly. All right, guys. But this is just the month that we're going to advocate that if you might have fallen off from like your New Year's resolution, maybe after your birthday, you said that you were going to change some of your habits. You said for summer, you were going to implement certain physical activities so that you can have maybe the summer body that you desire. But maybe you have fallen off from each one of these instances. So Wellness Month is just that refresher and to be here to spread awareness about how important your wellness is for the body and what we need to do to ensure that we are practicing practical, healthy wellness routines. All right, guys. So today is Monday, August 5th, 2024, and we like to kick off each episode with the I am power statement. I representing inspiration, A representing affirmations, and M representing manifestations. And the I am power statement for today is I am willing to develop a realistic wellness routine in an effort to prevent and reduce illness in my body. Ashe. All right, guys. And the quote of the day is, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. And what you imagine, you create. And that's by Buddha. So pretty much whatever you put your mind to, whatever you really truly feel and truly desire, and what you actually think and put to paper and add to action, you're able to create, innovate, or cultivate. All right, guys. So the power is within you. When you're ready to make applicable changes, the power is within you. You have to want that change. You're just not going to wake up and say, okay, this change is just going to be implemented. Sometimes it takes time to do that because there is a thing called resistance to change. And that can be because of fear of the unknown, fear of success. You'll find more people that are fearful of success than of their actual failure. And then also the fear of failure. You don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be told no. You don't want to feel like you're not doing something right. And then also just because you're comfortable, you're stagnant in what you've been doing. You have things that you feel like works for you. And so that you just don't want to make those changes. So we want to avoid that resistance and be able to shift our minds in order to truly become and evolve into who we really want to be. All right, guys. Now, you know, we always sipping on this good old cramp elixir. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with you guys. Have you tried our bestseller, the cramp elixir? It's our herbal tea blend designed to reduce and eliminate menstrual cramps, PMS symptoms, and other uterine health issues that are hindering your day-to-day progress. Our elixir may decrease inflammation, reduce stress and anxiety, regulate blood flow, balance your mood, and it can kick cramps ass. It includes a variety of herbs including hibiscus, red raspberry leaf, calendula, motherwort, ashwagandha, plus more. Head over to kickcrampsass.org and grab yours today. Now, back to the show. Welcome back from that commercial break, guys. We hope that you enjoyed that. Now, let's talk about National Wellness Month. Some of you might not be aware of what this is. It is an awareness holiday that is in the United States. I know it's something that's trying to be spread globally, but not all countries abide by this or celebrate this. So this is just something definitely in the health and wellness industry that we just like to promote. It is um, an awareness month that did start in August 2018 and is focusing on increasing self-care practices, sustaining healthy routines, and engaging in stress management. So self-care, most people say, oh, self-care Saturday, self-care Sunday. We want you to have self-care every single day. Even if it's just 30 minutes daily, it is truly important to care and love on yourself. That way you don't have to set the expectation that somebody has to love on you or you have to be dependent on somebody fulfilling you in that way, but having fulfillment within yourself and taking care of yourself so that if you do want to engage in a partnership or if you do want to have a committed relationship or a marriage, then you will be whole on your own. And then that individual is just an added luxury into your life. All right, guys. And then sustaining healthy routines. We talked about that earlier. So many people will say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And they might do it for a couple of days or a week or two. And then they slowly fall off and go back to what they have been comfortable with. And this is a month that we want to reverse that. We want to throw those ideas out the door. We want to help you remain focused and disciplined and to manage your time effectively so that you can sustain these healthy routines that you want to incorporate into your life that will help you have life longevity and help you to reduce, prevent, or eliminate any type of illnesses, not just wound wellness, but anything that could be hindering your body. And then stress management. A lot of people don't realize that stress can affect you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So having proper tools, resources, individuals that you can rely on professionally to assist you as well. All of these options can help you with your day to day practices. All right, guys. Now, according to the National Calendar Day, if we as individuals are going to do big things in the world, we need to take care of ourselves too. We have said this in this season of our podcast, in previous seasons. If you're a consumer or a client of mine that have spoken with me in appointments or just in general talking conversations, we are always going to advocate that your health is your wealth. In order to fulfill, you're putting in all this work now. You're wanting to build wealth. You want to have a great retirement. You want to travel the world. You want to be able to have a foundation for your kids to continue to build wealth. You want to be able to be a philanthropist and give back to those that you want to serve and educate and heal. There's so many different great things that everybody wants to do in the world. But if we're not taking care of our health, we're not taking care of our wellness, how are we going to be able to truly fulfill that if once we're getting in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we have all these chronic illnesses, all these uterine ailments, all these diagnoses? Every time the seasons change, you're getting so sick because of this. If we have all these things that are hindering our bodies, and then our mental health being affected, our emotional wellness being affected, chakras getting unaligned, so your spiritual wellness is all off, and those things can affect us in the long run. So how are we supposed to enjoy the fruits of our labor with all this hard work that we're putting in now if we're not taking care of our bodies and won't be able to thoroughly enjoy it later on? All right, guys. So we have to take care of ourselves in order to keep doing the big things that we want to do, and then to be able to enjoy the results of those outcomes. All right, guys. Now, this month also aims to educate people on caring for their bodies and minds as we bring awareness to different ways to prioritize your health. So, guys, this is the time to enhance your wellness mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. All right, guys, and we're going to give you tips on how you can do that later on in this episode. Now, I do want you guys to ask yourself a question. Just take a moment and do you find yourself needing help to balance your wellness routine? Just think about it. Anytime that you've decided that, hey, I'm going to start going to the gym 3 to 5 times a week, or hey, I'm going to incorporate more leafy greens into my diet. Hey, I'm going to give up fast food for, Lent or, maybe some type of religious holiday. But you find yourself falling off and not staying consistent with that routine, not being persistent in your actions. So, what is causing you to fall off from that? And so, we're going to ask the question, do you find yourself needing help to balance your wellness routine? Now, with the busyness of life, it could be so easy to get off schedule with your consistent regimen. So, we recommend to manage your time effectively. And we're going to give you options on that later on in this episode. So, I find that, and this is not just in KCA, Kit Cramps Ass, this is ever since I started consulting individuals from a nutrition standpoint, being a nutrition educator, then migrating to a nutritionist. And this is over a decade of information. But I find that most people fall off from their routines because of not having adequate time management, being distracted easily, being your focus is elsewhere and not on your priorities. Invaluable distractions come into play, whether those are people, places, or things. And we're going to get into that more. So we want you to start honing in on what is taking the majority of your time. You know, have you had a chance to go into your phone and go into your settings and see how much screen time you have on your phone? Is it that you're scrolling endlessly on social media when you have a free time, or you feel like I'm stressed, or I need a break from work, or I need a break from the kids, or the husband or the wife is getting on my nerves, you know, the pet's getting on my nerves, whatever the case may be, and you have your reason why? Is it social media that's taking up your time? Is it TV that's taking up your time? Is it you people pleasing and catering to everybody that's close to you, whether that's family, your best friends, co-workers? Is it your job that's really demanding, that requires a lot of you, and you feel like they're draining you because they're sucking up everything up out of you? Whatever could be the distraction or what's pulling you away from this wellness being a focal point and a priority for you, we want to hone in on those things and start thinking about, how can we eliminate some of this? How can we set applicable boundaries? How can we really truly balance our time? And I always laugh about time, because you'll hear people say all the time, I just don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Or is it just that we're not managing our time effectively? You'll see, I'll tell people all the time, we have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce, as Barack Obama, as Gandhi had, you know, Mother Teresa, whoever you want to name, MLK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, anybody from the past, prominent people, anybody that's present and still living, prominent people, people that you look up to, that you feel like are so successful. In my eyes, I think about Angela Davis. I think about Ava DuVernay. I think about Don Staley. And shout out to all three of them for being on, well, not Angela Davis recently, but Don Staley and Ava DuVernay for Forbes 50 over 50. It's just all these prominent individuals that are out here doing so many amazing things to serve, educate, and heal others, and to really help others. And they have the same amount of time in their day as we do. So how are they managing their time effectively? So you have to be able to prioritize your wellness like you prioritize everything else in your life. All right, guys. Now, you may not contemplate the importance of focusing on your wellness until a condition comes up in your body or that actually hinders your health. So you'll find that you've made this New Year's resolution, or you decided to give up something for a religious holiday, or again, summertime's coming. Oh, it's after the holidays. Let me work off all that food that I ate really well over the holidays. And life just comes into play, right? You say you get busy, you forget about it, and then a condition happens. You start noticing that your body is having a reaction. You might go to the doctor. You might discover that something is going on. And then that's when you really want to focus on your wellness. So we wanted you to get in the habit of, let's go ahead and focus on it regardless. Let's focus on it just for the habits or the positivity of having life longevity. Let's do it so we don't have to be another statistic that has heart disease or diabetes or cancer or Alzheimer's or all these things that are prohibiting us from having life longevity. I think about in the United States, and the leading causes of death, 60% of the leading causes of death in the United States are directly related to the diet and the lifestyles that we have and what we put in and on our bodies. So this is why it's so important to go ahead and incorporate these wellness routines and regimens now so that we don't have to deal with the diagnosis. All right, guys, let's get ahead of the problem. Now, instead of waiting for that illness to fester, we encourage you to regain your power by implementing a realistic wellness system that works for you. So again, you don't have to do the challenges that you might see on social media. You don't have to do the challenge that your church members might be doing. You don't have to do the challenges that your fraternity or sorority is encouraging you to do. You need to do what works best for you, your schedule, your time, your energy. Based off of your job, based off of your school, based off of your family, based off of your household, based off of what other priorities you have to devote your time to. You have to do what works best for you. And again, if you're up for 16 hours in a day, let's say you're getting 8 hours of sleep and you're up for 16 hours of the day. Let's say you work 8 hours of those days. Let's add your lunch break in. If you have to drive and go to work and do all those things, that's another 12 hours. So then that leaves 4 hours of kind of flexibility to do things, and 30 minutes of working out here and there, working your way up to an hour, maybe eventually taking another 30 minutes to go take a bath soak or do a hobby or something that you love that can help you release things that you have going on in your brain so you don't feel as stressed. We have to take time and start incorporating these important factors into our schedule. Now, in order to do this wellness regimen, this should require you to, and as we've been saying it throughout this entire episode already, manage your time effectively. And we're going to talk about how you can do that. Managing your time. This means using the reminders app in your phone. That is my best friend. I have so many reminders in my phone. I even have reminders already set for 2025 and 2026, guys. Like, it helps me tremendously to keep up with the busyness of my schedule. I have told you guys before, running a business, wearing multiple hats in that business, having sitting on boards and memberships of other organizations, being a doctoral student full time, married, so taking care of my household, just family. I have family back home. Both of my parents are still alive. I have both of my maternal grandmothers are still alive. So being able to devote my time and attention to all these different factors, it could take a lot, and it could be a lot on my plate. But managing my time effectively works with using my reminders app, using my calendar app, making sure that I am also on my to-do list, and to-do lists and reminders can be the same based off if you have Apple products or Samsung Android products, things of that sort. Using the notes in my phone, using the notifications or reminders that I can have on my computer, my alarm. And it sounds like, okay, you use your alarm to wake up in the morning. I use my alarm for a lot. Like, for instance, doing laundry. Perfect example. I could have clients and meetings all day. If I put on a load of laundry, I have to set a reminder on my phone, alarm on my phone to make sure you go, because I'm all the way upstairs. I might not hear the laundry or the dryer notification that goes off while I'm in the middle of a meeting or talking. So once I get out that meeting, check my notifications, check communications, and then go switch out my laundry. I can go ahead and put on dinner, do something else, go into another meeting, come out, dinner's almost done, clothes are almost done, and just having something to kind of remind me throughout the day. But I also make sure that I take frequent breaks throughout the day, making sure that I have time to myself, time to decompress, time to unwind. I won't do back to back to back to back meetings. Give myself at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes in between, something as a little breather just to catch myself. But I make sure that I factor in my breaks, my workout routines. For instance, Monday through Saturday, I do Pilates. 20 minutes to an hour, depends on how extensive it is. If I'm going to involve weights, if I'm doing HIIT, if I'm focusing on a certain area like abs or booty, things of that sort. But then on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do weight training before I do Pilates. So I'll go to the gym and I will do weight training, arms, abs, and ass, work out all of those, legs, everything, and then go into the Pilates. But then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, that's my running days. So it depends on where I'm at. If I'm outside, since I'm in Las Vegas, there's a lot of inclines, a lot of mountains, the air quality and elevation is very different. So I will either run a mile outside. If I'm inside and I decide to go to the gym, I'll go to the treadmill and I'll run 2 miles. Or if I'm hiking, I'll do a minimum of 2.5 miles of hiking Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. And then a couple of times a week, I will squeeze in swimming and get in the hot tub. Those are typically on the days that I do running, especially the days that I run and hike longer than a couple of miles, just to help release tension, get a nice couple of laps in the pool, and then go to the hot tub to release and just kind of allow those muscles to relax. So again, all of this is in my schedule. It's in my reminders. It's in my calendar, my alarms. I have things set for this. So that's how I do it. There's other tools that you could potentially use that works for you, whether that's using your whiteboard. Like for instance, I have a whiteboard that I have important priorities on, and then I'll have like, hey, daily, you have to get meditation in, affirmations, confirmation, doing your gratitude, making sure you're doing your stretching, getting some journaling in, all of those things. Make sure I have my workout up there, lymphatic drainage routines, all of that. All right, guys. So again, you have to factor it into your schedule when you really want to do it, and then make it happen, just like anything else you want to do. Second thing you should be required to do with incorporating a wellness routine is practice discipline. It is so hard to be good, and it's so easy to be bad. It is so easy to say, oh my God, I really want that donut. I really want that piece of cake. I really want to go grab this. Hey, it's vegan, so I can still eat that, right? You still got to be mindful. There's soy in a lot of things. If they're using bleached flour, things of that sort, if they're still using dairy in their products, those are things that you want to be mindful of. So practice discipline. And if you fall off, if something happens where you're not consistent in your routine, show yourself some grace and get back on it. Don't fall off and then you fall off indefinitely. And then next thing you know, you might be one of those people that, like you said, months and months go by after you fall off that routine, and then something happens to your body, and then you want to focus on your health. We want to avoid that. Remaining focused on the goal at hand. Again, when this is something you really want to do, you're going to be mindful of what you're doing. You're going to make sure that you get it done, and holding yourself accountable as well. If you feel like you need an accountability partner, factor that into your wellness routine and work with somebody that could truly be your accountability partner, and not somebody that is just as stagnant as you or inconsistent as you, because you want somebody that can push you to be better, and not somebody that y'all both are like, we're not going to do this today. Okay. You don't want to get somebody that's not going to positively impact you to keep pushing. But we always recommend to be that accountability partner for yourself. Because again, if your accountability partner is busy, they get sick, they have something going on, they're on vacation, you have to depend on yourself. So it's very essential for you to hold yourself accountable and make this a part of something you want to do, and don't make it so that you're depending on other people to make it happen. And then lastly, show yourself some grace throughout the process as you proactively work towards developing positive health habits. You have to celebrate the small wins. You have to be able to show yourself some grace, because these are tough things that you're doing, especially if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, meaning that these are habits that you've had for several decades at this point. So it's going to take you a little longer to go ahead and shift that mind and get adjusted to your new habits that could take up to a minimum of 30 days to start developing. All right, guys. Now, although this month is dedicated to enhancing your health habits, we advocate for achieving optimal wellness all year long. So let this be the time that you surpass these distractions, inconsistencies, and excuses to truly reclaim your wellness. All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Welcome to KidCrampsAss.org. Now, feel free to subscribe and get 15% off. By doing so, you're subscribing to our newsletter, and you receive the latest news, resources, and updates. We appreciate you for connecting with us, so we want to get you with 15% off on your first order. So go ahead and leave your first name, your last name, and your email address, and you'll have this 50% off coupon that you can use towards your first order. Now, back to the show. Welcome back from that commercial break, guys. We hope that you enjoyed it. So let's talk about some tips for strengthening your emotional wellness. Now, what we're going to do over the next 4 episodes, since National Wellness Month is the month of August, we're going to break down each wellness component per week. All right. So this week we're going to focus on emotional wellness. All right. So tips for strengthening your emotional wellness. Practice gratitude daily by sustaining optimism. So we want you to be grateful for having another opportunity of life, another day to wake up, be healthy and whole, and have an actual chance to implement a wellness practice that works for you. Being grateful to still be able to have some type of functionality so that you are able to focus on your wellness. And let's say that you're unable to focus on all the different wellness components at one time. That's okay. Let's start with one component and work your way up. So emotional wellness is super important. And then optimism, just remaining positive, remembering that everything happens for a reason and everything happens in divine timing. Therefore, if it's a blessing, learn from that blessing. If it's a lesson, learn from that lesson. All right, guys, and grow from that. But just remember to remain positive and to keep going. Out of anybody that you may look up to that you feel that is successful, whether that's a parent, another family member, maybe it might be a mentor, a professor, an entrepreneur, or even maybe a celebrity that you might look up to, we encourage you to remember that that person probably has failed several times. Being an entrepreneur, I can definitely validate you're going to fail several times in life in different aspects, and it's okay. You have to learn from those failures. You have to, if you fall off the bike, you get up, your knee scrape, you rub that knee, you put some ointment on it, and you keep it going. In my case, you put some herbs on it and you keep it moving, or some aloe vera, and then you get back on that bike and you keep going. And that's how life is. You might get knocked down, you might get pushed down, and it might get to a point where everything just feels like too much. And that's why we say that's when you incorporate a professional to assist you, practicing and incorporating daily habits and routines that can help you mitigate these challenges and obstacles when they do arise in your life. All right. 2, another tip, journal your thoughts and emotions to release what is stored in your body. So you might feel that venting to somebody else is better for you. You might feel that talking to a therapist is better. Talk to your best friend, your sister, your parent, whatever works for you, maybe even your mate. However, getting a journal and journaling your emotions, that way you can be purely honest with what's going on. And not saying that you would not be honest with these other individuals, but that also helps you to avoid victimizing yourself or needing somebody to validate if you were right or wrong in a situation, or needing somebody just to tell you yes because that's what you want to hear. You want to be able to release your emotions and be able to explain what those mean, so you know how to handle them if they come up again. Also, if there are emotions that are new for you, something that you can learn from. If it's something that makes you feel really good, you want to be mindful of those things because you want to do things that make you feel good. And if it's something that makes you feel terrible, you want to know what things takes you there so you can set applicable boundaries so you don't have to deal with being brought or put in that position again. All right. So just journaling your thoughts and emotions, what you feel, events surrounding that, things that might make these things appear, and then that can help you also to determine strategic plans of action or forecasting for your life, planning ahead and seeing like, hey, I don't like when this happens, when maybe this person around, or each time I go to this place I feel really good, or when I'm surrounded by these group of people, they're kind of negative, so I don't want to really surround myself around that type of energy. So it's just things for you to really just learn yourself and figure yourself out by journaling those emotions. The third tip that we have for strengthening your emotional wellness is reducing your alcohol consumption for hormonal balance assistance and to avoid unwanted toxins, chemicals, and added bad sugars to the body. Now, alcohol consumption we talked about, yes, it provides a source of energy to the body. However, there's no other great value that alcohol really does for the body. And I always ask the question to anybody that tries to fight me on reducing alcohol consumption: what value does it add to your body? What value does it add to you? Why do you actually do it? And if your answer is because everybody else does, or that's just how I was raised, we have alcohol everywhere. They're at all events and celebrations, or when I'm upset, I drink. I was pissed off at work. My boyfriend made me mad. Um, my best friend's getting on my nerves. The kids are running me ragged. If you're using it as a vice, then again, that's two forms of unhealthiness, because not only are we adding the chemicals and toxins into the body that can cause the hormonal imbalances and the unwanted chemical reactions in the body, then you're also using it as a crutch to help you sustain an emotion when we should be developing maybe a more positive or healthier habit that can help you do that. Because we want to develop habits that's not going to add disease into the body, that's not going to be a aid in fibroids, that's not going to add to the visceral fat that contributes to obesity or leads towards diabetes and heart disease. So things that we want to be mindful of. All right, guys. Now, the fourth tip to strengthening emotional wellness is be patient with yourself and continue to show grace as you evolve and adapt to your new habits. We talked about that a couple of times earlier, but I just want to say it again. It is so important to not be so harsh on yourself. Yes, you can have the human emotion of wanting to do better for yourself, or getting irritated or agitated if you did not perform it the way that you might have wanted to initially. But just know, at least you are performing, and at least you are proactively working towards that goal that you have set for yourself. All right, guys. So be patient. It's going to take time, just like it took time for you to get that belly, just like it took time for you to develop this disease, just like it took time for that fibroid to grow, just like it took time for your menstrual cycle to be a little heavier flow. It's going to take time to reverse it. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens just as quickly. I have been plant-based for over it will make actually 7 years on August 13th. Let's see, 2017. Yep. August 13th, 2024. It will be 7 years that I've been plant-based, and I'm still getting my wellness regimen down. What I described to you guys earlier, that didn't take, that took years to get to. When I first started working out, I was working out 3 times a week, 15 minutes a day. That's it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 15 minutes a day. When I first got up for the day, after I did like my top of the day routine and meditating and gratitude and all of that, affirmations, and I would literally only do 15 minutes. Now I'm doing, like I described to you, running a couple of miles. That could be 20 minutes. And then going to do Pilates, I told you, anywhere from 20 to an hour. So maybe another 30 minutes. That's 50 minutes right there. And at first I was only at 15. The days that I might hike longer than 2.5 miles, that might be 45 minutes or an hour. Then still coming in and doing another 30 to 40 minutes of Pilates. That's almost 2 hours of training. So again, guys, you can work up to these things and be patient. It takes time. And at the beginning, when I first went plant-based, I was calling myself vegan because I was literally eating anything that said it was vegan. And so it was a lot of fried foods and burgers and breads and soys and these things. But now I'm more plant-based. I do raw detoxes frequently. I try to have more raw food in a day than cooked food in a day. And I'm very mindful of what has chemicals, what's not processed, things of that sort. So again, be patient with yourself. It takes time. You just don't wake up and become this wellness guru overnight. It's impossible. And anybody that tells you that you should be able to do that, I recommend to do what works for you and works for your time. I feel like a slow build always is more successful than a quick overnight situation. All right. And then the last tip for strengthening your emotional wellness is managing your time effectively. We said that earlier, but to fulfill your desired goals and wellness routine, including scheduling your self care. So again, managing that time. You can make the plan, you can write it out, it can look amazing, but if you're not actually putting it into action and then using tools like we said, the reminders tool or the to-dos tool or your notes or your alarm or your whiteboard at home, your chalkboard, maybe you write something on your refrigerator, maybe you have a sticky note on your bathroom mirror, maybe you have a note before you walk out the front door, maybe before you go out your garage door, to help remind you. Do what works for you. Whatever works for you that's going to help you remain consistent in this. Do what works best for you. I advise to learn from different people. Do your research and see what other factors you can find out there, and then just try the different factors and see again what works for you. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, but you can take maybe a little piece of different things that you learn and make your own regimen. All right, guys. Now, how do we implement these tips? How do we implement making sure that we're strengthening our emotional wellness? You have to want to truly start and keep up with your routine. We mentioned that earlier. There will be down days, especially when you're on like your period, or if you have something that may impact you, maybe something going on at work, maybe something going on in your household, maybe you got in an argument with your spouse, maybe you got mad at the grocery store because somebody took your parking spot. Whatever the case may be, things are going to happen that can throw you off from your routine, that can affect your emotional wellness, that can then start affecting your mental, physical, and spiritual. So whatever that is, we want to encourage you to push through and keep going. If you have to take a down day, that's okay. Pick back up tomorrow. Let's say earlier in the day, something might have upset you, but by the evening time, take time to yourself and go ahead and get that wellness routine out before you go to bed, and make sure that that allows you to go to bed with a refreshed mind so that you can sleep really well and feel rejuvenated for the next day to start fresh and get back into what is going to be your new norm. All right, guys. Managing the time effectively. I know this sounds like a broken record, but we're saying it so many times because this is one of the main reasons why people are inconsistent in their wellness routines. So factor that wellness routine into your daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly schedule. All right, guys. Even assisting you with planning ahead is going to be helpful. All right. The next thing with implementing is with managing your time effectively is evaluating and updating as needed when changes happens in your schedule. So for instance, maybe you started off a routine that was working well for the first month, and then maybe you have a schedule change at work. Maybe you have to start going out of town to assist your parent with something. Maybe you picked up a consulting position, so now you go out of town maybe once or twice a month. So you want to be mindful of that. When your period comes around, we encourage you to always track your period so you know when it's coming, so that you could plan accordingly. So if you realize that you're starting to have your mood is shifting a bit, you might be bloating, you might noticing that you're not feeling a little bit like yourself, and then you look at your tracker, you're like, oh, my cycle's starting in 2 or 3 days. Don't be harsh on yourself with that wellness routine leading up to your cycle. You maybe want to do something a little more light, maybe only a 20-minute workout versus like trying to do 30 minutes or an hour. Maybe actually on your cycle, maybe your first day or two, you don't do anything, maybe just light stretches or some type of restorative pose, yoga position that you can hold for 10 to 15 minutes to ease cramping or inflammation of some sort, but nothing too strenuous. You want to be able to alter as needed. Again, if something's not working for you, then change that up. Or maybe 6 weeks has gone by and you're lifting weights and you've been lifting only 3-pound weights and it's getting too easy. So maybe you need to go up a rep, or maybe you need to go up on the weights. So again, evaluate and update as needed. I say monthly evaluation is more realistic, something you can set a reminder of in your phone. If you don't remember just off top to do so, but that would be our recommendation. And then again, life events. Maybe your best friend's getting married. Maybe it's your anniversary. You're going to be out the country for a while. Anything that can come up. Maybe you had a death in the family, so you have to travel maybe back to your home state to assist family with the arrangements. Whatever may happen, you have to be able to shift and plan accordingly in what works for you and what you have going on. But then be able to get back on your routine, or then just shifting it to accommodate what you have going on when you have to go handle these other priorities. Now, the next recommendation we're going to give on how to implement with strengthening your emotional wellness is setting SMART goals. SMART representing specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals, meaning that you're very specific about what you're wanting to do. You know the time frame that you're wanting to get it done in. You have ways to measure your benchmarks and see how you're doing. So if you're focusing on losing inches in your lower belly, then measure yourself, and then maybe measure yourself weekly for the next 6 to 8 weeks. If you're noticing that your maybe your pH balance is off, and you notice that you might have an odor that you're having that's pretty strong, then measuring, hey, once I start this detox and then I start eating these different fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and things of that sort, maybe I'm doing a little more exercise routine weekly, and then week over week, you can manage the smell and see how you're changing, even managing if you have anything else that is noticeable down there, whether it's your discharge or what you have going on, just finding a way to be able to measure where you see an issue at and what you're wanting to resolve. Now, let's say you don't have any issues and you're just wanting to practice wellness habits, then just paying attention to things like your hair, your nails, your skin, like maybe your acne or blemishes that you may have on your skin, your smell. So like your underarms and areas that you may sweat at, you're going to notice that your odor is going to change. Just noticing your energy, being able to sleep more easier at night, not being as stressed. You're going to be able to start paying attention to these positive changes that are happening in your life. We've mentioned this one before as well. We're going to say it again about showing yourself some grace along the way, because you may run into obstacles that will challenge your new habits that you are developing. You maybe say you're doing well for 3 or 4 weeks, and then your favorite cousin comes into town and wants you to, take them out to eat, and they're eating all these foods that you haven't been indulging in and drinking all this alcohol, and they're wanting to go stay out all night so that you can't get up and do your normal your normal top of the day routine or anything along those lines. So, and then next thing you know, you're not exercising for 4 or 5 days. So just things you want to be mindful of that could easily happen, and just paying attention to setting those boundaries and making sure that you're staying consistent. And if you don't stay consistent, show yourself some grace, figure out where you fell off at and what you could do the next time so that maybe might not happen again. And then lastly, celebrate all wins. That's how you implement plans of action, especially with emotional wellness. Celebrate all wins, including the small ones, because you are your own motivator, and continue to build your own confidence so that you can sustain a consistent wellness routine. We mentioned earlier about holding yourself accountable. It's great to have an accountability partner, but when you're able to motivate yourself, you're able to stimulate yourself and get yourself going, and then that will allow you to build your confidence, because you know that you don't need anybody else to do this. This is something that you want to do, so do it for yourself. If people want to make fun of you, if people want to say that you're doing too much, if people want to try to joke around and kind of try to belittle you or say, I'm just joking, but always talking about you working on your positive health habits, then let those people do those things. Let them say what they have to say, but keep doing you. Keep doing what's best for you, and keep motivating yourself, because at the end of the day, when 10 to 20, 30 years come down the line, you can look back and be grateful and be happy that you did incorporate these wellness routines and habits into your life. All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Now, navigating to our resource center, we want to give you guys access to all these complimentary resources that we have available for you. We have our blog, book suggestions, our menstrual blood chart, exercise moves to kick cramps ass. We have recipes. We have reports. We have research studies that helps to prove how holistic approaches assist with achieving women wellness. We have wellness tips, wellness referrals, so business organizations and individuals that we would like to refer to you that are our strategic partners, wound terminology. Maybe there's some wound options that you're not aware of. This can help you out. And lastly, yoga moves to help you kick cramps ass. Feel free to take advantage of this complimentary resource. All right, guys, now back to the show. Welcome back from that commercial break, guys. We hope that you enjoyed it. So we just wrapped up our episode, Strengthening Your Emotional Wellness for National Wellness Month. All right, guys, we want to go ahead and recap on that we are advocating for August, National Wellness Month, for you to incorporate a wellness routine that works for you that's going to positively impact your emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual wellness components. All right, guys. Now, in honor of National Wellness Month, we released our KCA magazine. We are so excited to do so. It was released on the platform medium.com, and it was released on July 31st, 2024, in time for National Wellness Month. So we can start giving you guys articles each week on different ways that you can improve your wellness routine and primarily to achieve optimal womb wellness. All right, guys. So all month long, we're going to be promoting emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental wellness components. And then year round, those plus any and everything that has to do with womb wellness, uterine ailments, tips, recommendations, diagnosis, things of that sort, research. We're so excited about it. So we will definitely be leaving the link to the magazine in the description of this episode. All right, guys. Now, to join medium.com, it is a free platform. They are paid memberships, so just be mindful. If you're looking on the app through your phone, there's going to be like an X at the top left or right corner that you don't have to pay for a membership. It will let you move forward. Or if you're on the computer, you scroll all the way down on the page once you start creating an account, and it gives you the option to say, no, please let me stay with a free account. All right, guys. Now, for those of you who are already paid members on Medium, then each time you read certain stories, it will definitely help our viewings. Okay, so we definitely do appreciate that. But we are going to have multiple stories as well that are not member only stories so that you will have full access to read these stories. All right, guys. So we're so excited about it. In our resource center, previously we've had our blog, which is now archived. You will be able to still go to our website and see any blogs that we have written April 1st, 2023, from when we launched up until the end of June of this year, 2024. And then moving forward, it will just be our KCA magazine. So we're so excited about that. All right, guys. So again, we are still accepting listeners' mail. So feel free to comment on this episode. If you would like a more personalized experience, you can contact us at contact@kickcrampsass.org. And that email will be listed in the description of this episode. All right, guys. But to recap, again, we're advocating for National Wellness Month. So in this episode, season 2, episode 20, we are strengthening your emotional wellness for National Wellness Month. All right, guys, be sure to like this podcast, share it with somebody that you feel like can resonate with this. Feel free to subscribe to our website where you can not only get a 15% off discount to our KCA store with our period products, but you also have first access to all the news, events, resources, tips, and everything that we have going on. You can also subscribe to our website. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which all of this information will be listed in the description of this episode to keep up with additional content that we have going on for you guys, and something very special that we have going on for next month in September 2024. All right, guys. But if there's not anything else, we hope that on this good old Menstruation Monday that you were able to get a lot of knowledge and recommendations and advice on how to get started with your consistent wellness routine. We want to say gratitude out to all of you for tuning into our podcast for today and manifesting a positive, productive, and peaceful wellness journey ahead, menstrual journey ahead. We want you to enjoy the rest of your Menstruation Monday and have a great remainder of the week, guys. And until next week on the next Menstruation Monday, We'll see you then. Peace.